There we go. All right. New module today, supplier quality certification. It's not exactly what you think, but it is some of that. This is another one of these areas we don't use a lot in purchasing, but it's all right. Develop and or administer supplier quality certification program. Collaboration with stakeholders. So stakeholders are impacted by quality from the supply base must collaborate in design, implementation, administration of the certification program. Yeah, okay. Supplier quality practices. Purchasing can categorize suppliers based on performance. Not that we do, but we could. These categories generally indicate that the company has evaluated the supplier as possessing the quality and operating systems that meet customer needs. Second and third tier suppliers can also be evaluated in the process. But I usually wouldn't jump tiers like that. That just causes too many problems. Have the first tier qualify the second tier, and the second tier qualify the third tier. So purchasing can qualify suppliers based on performance over a period listed below. So these are the ISM solution to the approved suppliers list. They have different levels. So the highest level is what they call a certified supplier. This is a supplier whose quality system is proven to be highly reliable and eliminates the need for incoming inspection. Most companies I've worked at don't have incoming inspection unless it's a real technical manufacturing company. And then if you have to measure the thickness of the Haseloid tube or something like that, they will have incoming inspection. So this is the highest level of qualification. And the key here is the quality systems are integrated. There's no incoming inspection. The next level down is partnered. And then, of course, they made it confusing by calling the third level preferred. But partnered are the second level suppliers. Assumes a close relationship between the buyer and seller to attain advantage to both and are usually of strategic importance. So partnered suppliers are strategic. Not to say that certified suppliers aren't, but they specifically say partnered suppliers are. Also called a strategic alliance. When you see that on a question, they mean partnered supplier. And also, the integration of the quality systems is not required or implied. So they still have incoming inspection with partnered suppliers. And then the next level down is preferred suppliers. Meet expectations for quality, delivery, and price, and can respond to unexpected changes. Set up blanket POs. Integration of quality systems is not required or implied. So if they say if you set up blanket POs with what type of supplier is, it's a preferred supplier. Although you'd set up blanket POs with all three of these suppliers. Approved suppliers. This is the last level of the hierarchy. So this is the lowest levels. There's 4 levels to their hierarchy. They've passed a review and approval process, so something like our supplier readiness review, and are approved for purchases. And they've passed samples for approval, which is basically PPAP for us. So again, the levels are approved supplier at the lowest, preferred supplier next up, partnered supplier, and then certified supplier at the top. Then they got all these other kind of categories that are just kind of hanging out there. They're not really in the hierarchy. Pre-qualified suppliers, suppliers that are approved for certain commodities. It's like I wouldn't use that, but okay. Certifiable suppliers that are nuts, but no, it's suppliers that are understood to be able to pass the certification, but have not yet done so. Which is, these two categories are pretty silly. I don't know why you'd have those. Disqualified suppliers that fail to meet the standards. They didn't do something correctly on the RFP. So that means they're disqualified for that RFP only. Because you got debarred, which is the bottom 25 bad boys who you don't want to do business with anymore. So debarred is really bad. Disqualified is only temporarily bad. And then you've got diverse suppliers, which is suppliers that meet requirements of the diversity program. They've got some minority class ownership. So those are all your suppliers. Remember, the only four are approved, preferred, partnered, and certified. Supplier audits, an assessment of supplier's capability against a set of established criteria. Systems audit checks internal documentation of audits. Process audit checks the supplier's critical process for capability and improvement. That's kind of what an SSR is. Supplier readiness review. Product and service audits checks the supplied product for conformance to technical and performance standards. That's basically, is it built to print, which is what a PPAP is. Acceptance testing. These are the test procedures that lead to formal acceptance of a new or changed product. So the only acceptance testing we do in our industry is PPAP. Now, if you're doing really highly technical science stuff, you got acceptance testing with every lot that comes in the door. Our incoming inspection or receiving inspection, it's all the same thing. Certification requirements. Companies may create quality standards that, when achieved, become the basis for the supplier to be certified. Which I don't know what that means, but okay. Thereby eliminating incoming inspection. Create quality standards that, when achieved, become the, okay. So basically, you can create standards that when the supplier hits it, he can then become a certified supplier. The company needs to provide a quality manual, and the supplier needs to provide documentation that proves that they made it. So then you get rid of incoming inspection with the certified suppliers. Under UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, after a reasonable opportunity to inspect the goods, the buyer becomes responsible for all defects that incoming inspection should have uncovered, even if no inspection took place. So you can't take it off your shelf 6 months later and say, hey, this stuff's bad, give me my money back. Well, you can, but under UCC, you own it. Inspections may occur at many places, and these are usually kind of some kind of receiving inspection or a customer inspecting goods from a supplier. So you can inspect at the supplier's production line or the supplier's plant inspection stations or the supplier's final inspection station. So if the supplier has a bunch of inline inspection stations, there's a problem there. The buyer's company you can inspect at the buyer's company at incoming inspection or receiving inspection. The buyer's company on the production line and the buyer's company at final inspection or test. Levels of thoroughness of the inspection include anywhere from no inspection to occasional audits or random inspections. For certified suppliers, that's what you would do. Routine sample inspections and 100% inspections, automated testing. Now, sometimes our suppliers get into quality problems and we require them to do this before they ship to us. Supplier certifications and registration. So ISO, good manufacturing practices, etc. The company must follow procedures, correct deficiencies, and strive to continually improve. So ISO is all about, started in 1994 by the International Organization for Standardization, which doesn't say ISO, but it does in French. And basically it's writing down your procedures and then getting audited to make sure that you're actually following the procedures that you wrote down. Quality management systems is ISO 9000, fundamentals and vocabulary. It's a supplement to 9001, which is the big quality audit. Following 8 principles provide the foundation for ISO 9000: customer focus, leadership, involvement, process, systematic approach, continual improvement, factual approach to decision making, and mutually beneficial supplier relationships. Yeah, okay. So 9001 is the quality management systems. That's what everybody usually talks about when they're ISO qualified, especially in manufacturing. ISO 9004 is guidelines for performance improvement, which is another add-on to 9001, really. And 19,011, 2018 provides guidelines for internal and external audits and management. You don't really hear people quote these, and I've never seen tests on that one. But the ones that they will test you on, ISO 14,000, that's the environmental audit ISO. Means you're environmentally compliant. 14,000. ISO registration process typically takes several months to complete. So the company contacts a registrar to investigate the terms for registration. They contact with the registrar, and then you have phase one of the audit. So the registrar comes in and performs an on-site audit, which is kind of weird because it's the company paying the registrar, and if he wants to come back, he can't be too hard on him. Certification audit, then is the registrar will come back and do a certification audit. So every element of ISO 9000 standard is audited several times. And the company may choose to have business audits on their other systems. And final certification audit to determine the system's effective implementation. And then you get awarded the certification after which. And then you have rolling certification audits, often referred to as surveillance audits, after you're certified. So you'll see ISO come through here, and we do a surveillance audit. So TS, you hear a lot about this. Technical Specification, 16949, 2016. I think this is the latest one. Was jointly developed with the International Automotive Task Force, the IATF. When people will ask if they're IATF certified, they really mean is 16949, TS 16949, and submitted to ISO for approval. It's based on ISO 9001 with specific requirements for the automotive sector. So we wanted to be ISO 9001 certified and IATF or TS 16949. You'll hear it referred both ways. Best management practices and good manufacturing practices are generally practices are encouraged or required by regulatory agencies such as the FDA. So these best management practices, and especially the good manufacturing practices, usually have to do with the food and drug industry. American National Standards Institute, ANSI, plays an important role in setting standards, also accredits standards developers and certification bodies. So you'll see a lot of reference to ANSI on our component drawings. And the IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, publishes industry standards for a wide range of technology, usually in aerospace and electronics. So the congruence of test methodologies and results between buying and selling organization. So you got to look at the acceptance rejection history should be reviewed along with traceable records. Checks should be made to ensure that measuring device calibration dates have not expired. And the trick is to get both sets, the customer and the supplier, have all their scales and measuring devices calibrated to the same. So testing capability, what ability does the supplier have to detect an incorrect work and correct work, I guess, or an incorrect work? Batch sampling with a statistical sampling procedure will most likely be used. And test methods, procedures, and instruments should be the same as the buyer's company. This is where you usually run into a problem. There's some variance between the buyer and the supplier. Shop floor quality checks should be conducted regularly, and indicators of worker capability to look for might include the number of hours, statistical quality control, or total management training, worker certifications, or the use of SPC. I remember what SPC stands for, statistical process, something or other. And then indicators of machines might include the maintenance history. You always like to check these things out when you're touring a plant. Or do they have the SPC charts up on the wall, or can you see them? Process control, what type of quality detection and correction systems are used? Best in class systems today, statistical process control, that's what SPC stands for. Samples are periodically taken by employees and compared to a range of existing tolerances. It uses a UCL and an LCL, upper and lower control limits. If the product is out of spec, the line is stopped and the problem is corrected. So once it's usually the average of 10 pieces. Once that average goes over the UCL or LCL, then you got to stop the line and figure out what the heck the problem is. Six Sigma and CPK. So CPK we'll cover later. That's a quality measure index for process capability. If the CPK is above 1.33, then you've got a process that's capable and relatively centered between the upper and lower specification limits. And like I said, we'll cover that later. What are the organizational systems in place for quality? Is it a proactive system that checks works as it's being produced, which is what you want? All inspection procedures should be in writing, and a solid training program with updates should be in place. And then organizational requirements for supplier certification. Example given, the evidence of statistical process control. Following are some additional areas that companies may examine to certify a supplier. So PACCAR will cover these areas in the supplier readiness review that quality does for a new supplier. Management responsibility. Management is responsible for defining and documenting its policies. Do you see management policies out there? Quality system. Do they have a documented system for quality and the objectives? And then contract review. What are the procedures for acceptance of the contract, tender of the contract, and review of the contract? See, now we would be a little bit in trouble here with the review of the contract here on floor 4. We don't have any written procedures for that. Design control. Supplier must establish and maintain procedures for controlling the design of the product. So automotive companies must be qualified in skills such as value engineering, geometric tolerancing, dimensioning, and the Taguchi method. Document and data control includes the procedures in issuing documents and data. You know, these are change control guys issuing the engineering drawings. Procurement must have procedures to ensure that the purchased products conform to spec standards. And control of customer supplied product. We don't really have customer supplied product. Our dealers may, but we don't. Product identification and traceability. So product traceability can be important for legal and regulatory liability issues. And we do have some traceability requirements on our trucks, but most of this really hardcore traceability and identification goes to the medical industry. Process control. One condition is documented, inspection and testing, control of inspection, test results, corrective and preventive actions, otherwise known as a CAR. We'll cover that in another group. Control of non-conforming product or the NCP. You know, can you rework it? Can you accept it and repair it? Can you regrade it? Or should you just reject it and scrap it? You know, other areas, handling and storage, control of quality records, internal training, servicing, statistical techniques. Yeah, all right. So which of the following would be least useful in evaluating a supplier quality system? Evaluating a supplier quality system.
That'd be D, product traceability.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Might be A, but I would go with D probably. Okay, that's not going to work today. All right, 2E1. Go find what I'm looking for. No, I don't want that one. I want this one. There we go. B. Why is that? Correct, because acceptance sampling cannot maintain the accuracy required in today's markets. Acceptance sampling does not prevent defects. That makes a little bit of sense. Okay. All right, I'll go back to our other one here. Rank the type of supplier classification given before from least stringent to most stringent. So from bottom to top. And this is ISM's classification. So the least stringent is what?
certified.
No, that's the top. The other way. You're looking for the bottom.
Yep. Approved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
approved.
approved. Yeah.
So that's the bottom. So we only can go with these two because these two are certainly wrong. And then the top is certified. So there's only one with that order. It should be B.
Yep.
Answer is B. Yeah, approved, preferred, partnered, certified. All right. So we got some questions out there. Should be 9 of them. I got the answers here. I got to go pull up the questions. I'll go ahead and get on them and we'll cover it in about 5 minutes. So get as far as you can.
Yep.
Okay. Let's look at some answers here. All right, number 1 is Bravo, certified supplier. It's one whose quality systems have been integrated. That's the top of the heap. Number 2 is also Bravo, ISO 9000, focuses on the creation and maintenance of the system. 3 is also Bravo, important to have a clearly defined process for receiving, customizing, and returning customer product. And 4 is Bravo, kind of a thing going here with Bravo. Correct answer, because the proper sequence would be inquiry, contact with the register, certification, audit, process audit, final certification, rolling certifications. 5 is Delta. Although reviewing the supplier's acceptance and rejection history is generally done when working with suppliers to achieve consistency, this measure is generally viewed from the entire supplier perspective rather than from the individual worker capabilities perspective. I really don't know what they're asking me in that question. 6 is Alpha. Worker certifications in TQM training will tell you how motivated the workforce is to learn. 7 is Bravo again. Using SBC samples are periodically taken and compared to the range of upper and UCL. CPK is also another measure. And 8 is also Bravo. UCC says that after a reasonable opportunity to inspect the goods, the buyer becomes responsible for all defects. And 9 is Charlie, because Ken has gotten an alliance agreement signed with the new supplier, so that would narrow the choices down to partner and certified. The 2 companies' quality systems are not integrated, that would leave you with partnered. All right. We start on E2 tomorrow.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, see ya.